Hi, I'm Sean from dishonorablespeechandpolitics.com, and I imagine you've probably heard about civil discourse, even if you don't know exactly what it is. But what about honorable discourse? I'm going to try to define both of these terms, what their differences are, and why you may want to care about them. I define honorable discourse as discourse or conversation that ultimately supports love and value building over hate and value destruction. I define value, as in value building, as how ultimately useful something is to people in supporting and promoting life, upholding individuals' rights to their own bodies and the products of their efforts, and gaining positive experiences, where positive can be objective if it helps avoid death, or subjective. As for a definition of civil discourse, I couldn't find one for it, or a related term, civic discourse, on merriam-webster.com or dictionary.com. So I did some Wikipediaing and some Googling, and here's some of what I found. According to the School of Public Affairs project on civil discourse at American University, civil discourse is truthful, productive, audience-based, about listening and talking, each speaker's own responsibility. Civil discourse is not mere politeness, an exercise in martyrdom, about telling other people who they are, purely performative. The Kansas State University Institute for Civic, not Civil, Discourse and Democracy provides the following principles of civic discourse. Seek understanding and common ground, expect and explore conflicting viewpoints, give everyone opportunity to speak, listen respectfully and thoughtfully, offer and examine support for claims, appreciate communication differences, stay focused on issues, and respect time limits. According to academic publisher IGI Global, civil discourse is engagement in conversation intended to enhance understanding or communication that engages with others in an ethical and socially appropriate way. And finally, learningforjustice.org has a document called Civil Discourse in the Classroom by Kate Schuster. In it, Schuster says, civil discourse is discourse that supports rather than undermines the societal good. It demands that democratic participants respect each other, even when that respect is hard to give or to earn. One difficulty I see with this definition is what is the societal good? People will likely have different ideas about that, such as whether socialism or capitalism is better for society. In fact, it's possible that when Democrats and Republicans argue uncivilly, part of the reason could be that they both think their ideas are ultimately better for the societal good, and they may see winning in this interaction as somehow winning for the societal good. Okay, here then is my attempt to define civil discourse so I can compare it with honorable discourse. Civil discourse is discourse or conversation that considers different viewpoints to increase understanding and involves all parties being respectful of all other parties in the discussion, including any parties who aren't present. Further, civil discourse involves minimizing interrupting, sharing speaking and listening, discussing ideas and not personhoods, offering support for one's claims, considering other viewpoints rather than being immediately dismissive of them, and not trying to make oneself look better than the other person or persons. With definitions of civil discourse and honorable discourse in hand, honorable discourse again being discourse that ultimately supports love and value building, what are the differences between the two terms, if any? Well, I believe increasing understanding is a part of value building, and respect for others is part of love. Therefore, I believe true civil discourse is actually a subset of honorable discourse. This would mean that anything that's civil discourse is also honorable discourse, but that some things that are considered honorable discourse fall outside of being characterized as civil discourse. An example might be two guys bonding over how great their favorite football team is without insulting any other teams. This would be an honorable discourse with value being built in the connection between the two guys, but I don't think it would qualify as a civil discourse because there's no disagreement and is not really meant to increase understanding. At least that's how I see it. Feel free to civilly disagree in the comments below. I believe when two people who are committed to speaking honorably come together to discuss disagreements, their discourse will be civil as a result of that commitment. Therefore, I propose that you focus on speaking honorably rather than worrying about having civil discourses per se. If we speak honorably, it may inspire others to do so as well. Now that I've talked a bunch about what civil discourse is, I'd like to go over two more things. Why do people care about it? And what are some things to focus on in your own discussions to help you speak more honorably and thus generally have more civil discourses? First, why do people care about civil discourse, especially it seems when it comes to politics? Some of these ideas come from an article out of the Charles Koch Institute titled, Why is Civil Discourse Important? Number 1, so people can stay friends and get along with each other. How many friends have you lost due to political disagreements? Number 2, so progress can be made in areas where there's agreement by better knowing what those areas are. Number 3, to be able to discuss a wider range of ideas and therefore come up with more innovative solutions to issues. Sometimes ideas that seem crazy contain some good aspects. And number 4, so people who may want to harm us have less chance to exploit our weaknesses and divide us. This last one is relevant to alleged campaigns by foreign actors on social media to sow discord in American political discussion. As for what to focus on to help you speak more honorably and thus have more civil discourses with people you disagree with, I believe one of the reasons it's so difficult to get civil discourse to be truly widespread is how good it feels to be right and win in a conversation. So to avoid focusing on being right and winning, here are some alternate things to focus on. Number 1, better understanding the other party's values, some of which you may not have considered and could explain why you think they're wrong. That is, because their values are different from yours. Number 2, being curious about finding areas where you may actually agree. Number 3, learning what strategies work and which ones don't in trying to convince someone of your viewpoint, without bashing them over the head with it. Number 4, appreciating the simple joy of interacting with another human being. And number 5, trying to help the other person think more critically regardless of the outcome of their thinking. I hope this video helped give you a little better idea of what could be meant by civil discourse, why you may want to care about it, and why I'm right that really you should worry about speaking honorably instead. It's not about being right, it's about increasing understanding, of course. Thank you for watching.